Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys Spawn line CY-GOR, which is one that I was very excited for because it's just a gorilla with lots of robotic parts and detail, and how could they mess that up? And in a lot of ways, they didn't mess it up. It's pretty darn cool. However, they did a few things that they tend to do, and that's a bit of a problem. So, unfortunately, we do have a bit to talk about that I was not expecting to have to talk about with this figure. So, and then there's even some other things that I was like, I didn't even think could be a problem, and they are. So, let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. So, this guy doesn't really stand, like he's going to stay in this pose mostly. So, I'm going to leave him at this height so you can just see. It's about 8 1/4 inches, and that's going to depend a little bit on how you pose him, but that's about right, and it's going to make him about 21 centimeters. If you want to see up against She Spawn, there you go. So she's right up to his eyeballs, and that's fine. So size-wise, it seems okay. It is a big figure. It's not as solidly built as I was hoping. But it's not that big of a deal because I don't care about weight of a figure. The reason I say that, though, is it seems like it should have been more PVC and less. Well, whatever, it doesn't matter. We'll get to the one problem I have with it, the main problem, in a minute. Aesthetically speaking, though, it looks pretty good. You can see they basically did silver plastic with a black wash, and it looks good. That's all you really need. We have some detail work added in, the gold here, the blue over here. All of his gorilla parts are just solid black plastic, a little bit too shiny for my liking, but they did add the stitching with the red, and that looks pretty good. The face is really nicely done. I like that a whole bunch. The mouth being open, the eye, the red lines on the head, the cuts, you know, all that stuff. It looks really good. They did a good job with the aesthetic for sure. The little robot feet, those are nice. His monkey butt, he's got a very good monkey butt. So, you know, they put some effort into that butt crack right there, which is unfortunate because that effort could have gone into other things, but it does look overall pretty darn good. I'll give the aesthetic an 8 out of 10. I do think the shiny fur isn't great. And, you know, we could have had a little bit more specific paint for the, or what do I want to say? Precise paint for the silver, because we do have a lot of silver coming off onto the fur here. But it still looks pretty darn good, so I like that. Now, as far as accessories go, it's really, really impressive on this figure. I wasn't expecting to be impressed. I was. We got one of these display stands with this guy as the only accessory, and it's just probably the most practical application for one of these things I've ever seen, where the display stand is actually smaller than the foot. You can see the toes poking out all the way around, and it most definitely serves absolutely zero purpose. So we do have that. I'm going to give the accessories on this guy a -10 for actually being detrimental to the figure because it serves zero purpose and makes the feet uneven. No point in that. At least give them a big spawn stand so that they can all have spawn stand. Like if you want to have every figure standing on a spawn stand, okay, fine. I get that. Some people are into that. Then give this guy one that actually fits him. Don't just throw in another penny one that we already have because you don't want to make a new mold. Okay, so accessories blow. Now, as far as articulation goes, the head, not as much as I was hoping. It seems to be articulated lower, like down in here, rather than higher up, which in some ways it's okay because you can rotate the head around a little bit, but you don't seem to get as much range as you might have expected. It's pretty limited. It does do some leaning though, so that's cool. It'll be enough. Like I wasn't expecting this guy to need to be in a ton of poses, and for the most part it works. There's just one issue that really does bother me. Now for the shoulders, let's see, we have pretty limited range. That's it. Basically, he can reach forward and stand. That's about it. There's not a whole lot going on there, so that's a bummer. On this side, we have this piece here. It's connected to the torso, so it shouldn't impede the shoulder at all. But the shoulder sculpt itself, because of this, can't even go out as far as the other one. So it's very limited. You can bring the arm forward and the shoulder piece flexes. So that's okay, but again, very limited. There's no bicep swivel on this guy on either side, so that kind of sucks. You do get a single jointed elbow, which does allow you to, for this side, to straighten out the arm mostly and to bend it up that far. And it's not ugly, it's not terrible. It does rotate at the forearm, which is a little bit strange, but you get about 90 degrees out of that. And for the wrist, you have a hinge. It's a strange offset on the hinge, but you do get the hinge and the rotation. And I guess that hinge they think is to help him be in the right pose for his gorilla stance. And maybe that is, but it's only good for that. Like, this figure is gonna be in one pose only. I'm just telling you right now, that's it. On this side, you have the same type of elbow joint, but they connected the tubers so tight that you actually can't bend the elbow. There is nowhere for it to go. These are already tight, and the arm is straight, basically. I can bring it back a little bit more. But the little tubers are tight at that amount of bend, so it's useless. Absolutely useless. Just give a little bit of extra, but we don't have it. And you can stretch them if you want, but odds are they'll snap. Same wrist. For the abdomen, or for the torso, there is no torso articulation. We only have a joint down here in the lower abdomen, which is too floppy for him, and it doesn't really do much. It's just gonna help him to adjust his feet a little bit, but since it's so floppy, like, you can't make him stand up really. You can, but I'll show you. Look at that. Look at that. What the heck happened? How is this a thing that's acceptable? First of all, his diaper is way too big. Way too big. It's not even close to the right size. Like, I could probably stash a whole extra figure in there. And so that's not good. And then the joint, the way it's placed, and the looseness is just weird. It's like they made it different from a human because he's a monkey, but in the worst way possible. Like, just put it in the middle, make it work like a normal torso joint. But no, he can't lean forward at all. Big surprise. He can lean back a little bit, but it's floppy, and it does rotate. But holy crap, that diaper. It ruins it. And for the hips, he has the same type of hips as all the DC figures, and the Spawn figures for that matter. So they do go out to the side, that's cool. They go back all the way if you want them to, but the diaper ruins it, it makes it useless. And they do go forward. So the hips are traditional hips, and they work nicely, but they can't be used because of this. Like, what happened? That is absurd. It's ridiculous. You do get a thigh swivel out of them. You get a decent enough knee joint. I think, is it actually 2 joints? No, it's just 1. But it works well enough. The knee joint's fine. It's a little bit loose. And then for the ankle, it's another... Is it a ball? I can't tell. With mechanical parts, sometimes it looks like they're joints and then they're not. Yeah, it's just a solid standard hinge. There's no ball in it. So they have a little bit of play, but not much. And a little bit of ankle rocker, but not much. So the arms suck. The torso is ridiculous. The hips are great, but useless. So the articulation's bad. It's so poorly done on this figure, and it could have been great because they spent the money to put the torso articulation in there. Down here, like, all of that's already there. They could have just made it right, and then it would have worked. And then the limitations up here wouldn't have mattered as much. But between these limitations and this being terrible, it's just basically unposable. It's going to be in one pose, and even you can't even stand him up because you can see right through to his peeper, and that's not good. So articulation on this guy gets a 2 out of 10. This is one of the most egregiously bad things I've seen since the Jazzwares Halo figure's knees. It's pretty awful. That said, the rest of the figure is pretty cool, so I'm going to give it a final verdict of 7 out of 10. It's going to look cool. You can stick it on the shelf. It doesn't cost that much, and if you really like the character, you're going to be okay with it, but this is ridiculous. It's not good. I really should be doing like a 6 out of 10. I'm gonna. 6 out of 10. This is too bad. Can't pose it enough, and it is cool looking, but it's still shiny and stuff, so... What should have been a super easy home run for them, they just boggled it for no reason. Is that a word? I don't know. It could be better, so I'm going to leave it at 6 out of 10. Let me know how you guys feel about it in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, and if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.